Welcome to the Thoroughly Wrong Project with Lalo and Bob. We appreciate you spending some time with us today. Let's jump right into that weekly dose of things you can disagree with. Take it away, guys.
All right, good morning and welcome to the Thoroughly Wrong Project. It's Super Bowl Sunday. I haven't released last week's episode, but I was going to do that today. But then again, I'm going to Venice Beach, so that may not happen till tomorrow. What's up, man?
You're going to Venice?
Yeah.
That's it's pretty I don't know, bold of you, I guess, trying to go to LA today of all days.
That's all right. I figure most everybody will either be in the house or in the stadium. So
Yeah, I always just know the Super Bowls always have like there's like an atmosphere around them, you know, and then there's like tons of tourists to that whatever city it's at, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, LA is already like filled with tourists as it is, so
yeah, it is. I went last Monday to that NFL podcast radio show, and it was there's already this weird feeling in the air. There's fucking banners everywhere and people wearing Rams shirts, so whatever.
Yeah.
I've never been to a Super Bowl city on a Super Bowl Sunday, so why not?
That's true. Yeah, it's always I mean, I've never been to one either, but I can imagine it's like super like hectic, you know.
Yeah, I'm just going to the beach.
Did you see all the stuff that they're doing, like the city?
No.
To kind of like prepare for it, and they're trying to like quote unquote clean up the city, you know?
Okay.
To not make it seem so bad. Like they cleared out like any like homeless like encampment like anywhere near the stadium.
Yeah.
They're having like they're actually having border patrol agents near the stadium to kind of like persuade a lot of like street vendors from not going anywhere near the stadium.
And by persuade, you mean what?
Like scare them off, pretty much. Like anybody, like if you ever go to like a sporting event in LA, there's always people outside selling like merchandise, you know, like shirts, but they're like unofficial merchandise, you know?
Exactly.
People like that, they're not, you'll be like fucking arrested if you even step foot near Inglewood.
Well, I was looking yesterday. I was reading that story about how what do they call it, pirated merchandise or inauthentic, whatever. But what fucking difference does it make? You know, it's like some T-shirt manufacturer is not going to make his money, and so they attack people and arrest people, and capitalism is out of fucking control, man. It's just seriously out of control. When you can't move, you can't do anything without some corporation's okie dokie.
Yeah, because I mean, something even as small as that, like the merchandise, the fake merchandise, you know?
Yeah.
Like that usually just happens when like there's big events, you know? Like
right.
A Lakers game or something, or like a big artist. And I'm like, I doubt that artist or like sports team is strapped for cash, you know?
The Rams are not strapped for cash, no.
They always try to use that excuse like, oh, well, like, you know, buying this only hurts like the artist because they don't see any of that money, or like the team, you know? And it's like, I'm pretty sure they don't mind or care.
And I'm sure the team, when they talk about the team, they mean the
owner.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
But see, Anaheim's way, you know, it's over even east of Lakewood. So I'm going to, you know, Venice Beach. So it's near the airport. It shouldn't be too fucking bad because Anaheim's near the center of the city.
I'm not familiar with like what's where exactly. I just call it all LA.
Okay.
Like Anaheim, Venice, like Santa Monica.
That's to me, a lot of people do.
LA.
Well, I go down there so often, and when I first healed up from my accident, and I was, you know, going through the philosophical stages of what the fuck am I going to do with my crippled body for the rest of my life, I went down there every weekend, and I'd take my kids, and then the next weekend my kids would go see their mom, and I would go by myself. So I spent a lot of time down there. I know how the city's laid out. It's Anaheim's probably, I'm going to say 40 miles, 30 miles from Venice Beach. So if you go to Venice Beach and then go directly east, you're going to run into Anaheim after, 30 miles.
Isn't Venice Beach also like right next to Santa Monica?
Yeah. Yeah. Just south.
Okay. Yeah. To me, it's just all one big like conglomerate of people, and I just call it LA.
Yeah. Well, I love LA. It's my second favorite city. I'm going to have to say it's my favorite city now because I haven't been to New York. New York City was my favorite city for a long time because that place is crazy cool. But, once you haven't been for 30 years,
I haven't. I've never really gone it like that far east. I think the furthest I've gone is like Arizona, which is not very far at all.
yeah.
So,
Well, I
but
grew up on the East Coast, and yeah. Then I drove a truck for all those years, so I saw almost every place. I recommend it, man. After you get your degree, you should go drive a truck for a few years. You see some cool shit.
no,
And gain a lot of weight.
I'll probably like travel at some point. Like, because I always hear people like, oh, I want to go like to all these places like outside of the country. And
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like there's a lot of places inside of the country that are like worth going to.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We have when your country's 2,500 miles across, it's like there's a lot of
There's a few
shit to
stops
see.
here and there.
A couple. Like the world's largest frying pan and the world's largest ball of string, the world's largest thermometer. You got to see this shit, dude.
Who needs to go to Europe when you got that stuff over here?
Exactly. What's London got on the frying pan? Come on. It's Americana. And besides, I don't think we're very well liked anymore overseas.
Yeah, that's a bit of a understatement.
I wonder why.
There might not be a Europe by the time I want to get to traveling to.
Yeah, that's true. Once, what that's 100,000 troops and Putin saying, "Oh no, we're not planning on anything." It's like
I feel like that situation's so like it's very like complicated because like what like we don't want to start a war,
no.
but Russia's playing it as if like they don't care, or it's almost like they know like that we don't want to start a war, so they're like in their mind like they're gonna do it, and since we don't want to start a war, we're gonna have no option but to kind of let them,
Yeah.
And I think Putin like kind of knows that in the back of his mind, like they're not gonna risk starting like World War III. So I know I could like invade Ukraine and they'll just, wag their finger at us, But that's
Yeah.
about it.
It's way more complicated than just that, and people don't realize it's about pipelines and natural gas and oil and trade and NATO, and there's so many nuances to this thing. And if he does it, then the pipeline's not going to be built, and Germany's not, Germany doesn't want to get involved, obviously. I don't think anybody does, but at the same time, you hear all these backdoor meetings where it's like Germany is in on it, but they won't say publicly. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen, but I do know that if Putin does invade, then there's going to be repercussions. But you just wonder how severe and how what is going to happen, because I don't think Biden is going to start a fucking war like you said, and he's talking about how it's going to be swift and retribution will be strong. It's like, what retribution are you going to do, man? What are you fucking going to do
I
about
know
it?
they were talking about like sanctions pretty much, or like tariffs and stuff like that. But the thing with that, that's why I'm saying it's so complicated, because at the end of the day, that though basically he's threatening to like cripple Russia, like economically,
Yeah.
which I mean, it can be done. Like that's a very real possibility. But at the end of the day, you're basically like starving out like their citizens.
Yeah, and that's not going to, be swift.
Yeah, you're starving out their citizens in hopes that by doing so, the citizens will put pressure on Putin to like back up. But I
Yeah.
feel like that's a big, like, what if. That's a big risk, because at the end of the day, he could just be like, oh, look, the United States is trying to like kill us. So instead of like the people being like, hey, like back off, they're just gonna like double down on like the resentment towards the US.
Yeah, and they've got China on their side too. So they
So
China can feed them. And I think
I
Russia could feed itself, couldn't it?
I don't I know they're very like reliant on like outside countries. I don't know exactly which ones, but if like the right countries like pulled out of Russia, like they'll come close to like collapsing.
Well, I
Um,
know in the 70s, it's funny during the Cold War, a lot of the grain that they utilized was from us. So there's there's a Cold War going on, but there's still money being made, everywhere.
yeah. So I mean, and then the only thing that that's gonna create is, in my, I believe that they're gonna invade Ukraine sometime in the near future, and then I think we're just not gonna do anything about it. Like Biden might like impose some like tariffs or like some sanctions here and there, but nothing like super major.
Yeah.
And then it's just gonna like nothing's gonna happen. And then the only thing that will happen here is that people say that Biden looked weak.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, do you want him, like, if you want him to look strong, he could fucking like start World War III. But then you're gonna say, oh well, Biden started a war.
Biden started a war. It's like our politicians cannot win. And I will be honest and I'll say, Trump couldn't win and Biden couldn't win. Bush couldn't win. And no matter who I agree or disagree with, I never liked Bush one or two. Didn't like Trump. Even Obama couldn't win. No matter what these fucking guys do, it's a damned if you do and damned if you don't proposition. So what is he going to do? Who knows? And even if he chooses option A, he incurs the wrath of half the country, and if he chooses option B, he incurs the wrath of the other half. So I really wouldn't want to be a president at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the Democrats just like, they kind of like shit the bed on having like they had 2 years pretty much to like
Yeah,
and like do all the stuff they wanted, and they literally did none of it. So and I mean, you could chalk it up to like Manchin and cinema.
right.
But at the end of the day, like they had like the numbers, at least on paper. And I think this is gonna really hurt them this year in the midterms. And they might lose both houses. And then once they lose both houses, it's done. Like Biden's gonna be crippled for the rest of his term.
Right.
And I mean, at that point, if I was the Democrats, like politically, like political strategy wise, right after the midterms, I would like 100% just focus on 2024 and try to like build somebody, like start building somebody up to like run. Because
Yeah, but who?
Bernie, I would choose
Oh
Bernie.
my God, Bernie's 115 years old, man.
Yeah, but he's still like kicking. I mean, Trump's not that much younger than him to begin with, and
I know.
they're talking about him running again. I don't think he'll run again. I think DeSantis will run, or like whoever does run, they're just gonna be like a little like Trump clone, because they
Yeah,
saw how popular it was.
yeah. Trumpism is growing, and the weird part is, even if the Democrats lose, that it's the entire government's going to be filled with fucking crazies, man. Crazies like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and there's another one coming up. I can't remember her name, but she's even worse. And the
See, I
people,
want to go ahead. Sorry.
now the people that are coming are just, I don't know. They're so radical. I don't know what's going to happen, man. It doesn't look good.
What I want to know is, sorry, what I want to see is like all these like you said, radical, like right wing people. I want to know how they're gonna react or act, I guess, if like the Republicans are ever like in power. Like let's say whoever runs in 24 wins, and then they have like both houses or even just one. Um, like, are they? I feel like the Republican Party kind of lets those like super crazy like voices kind of almost like do their work for them. They like
Yeah.
rile up the base and try to like convince people to go right. And then once it actually happens, like are they gonna kind of like take a back seat, like okay, you guys kind of like did your job. Now it's time for us to try to like pass some legislature and shit.
You mean like McConnell and
Yeah, because if you think about it, he never really talks about like the Marjorie Taylor Greens or like the that other dude from, I think he's from Florida. I forgot his name.
Ted
Like never,
Cruz?
no, he never like really talks about him or uh like condemns them or anything. He's just, it's almost like they're on two different worlds.
I
Like
know
it's like the
McCarthy's
big
up there
boys club,
too.
like the big kids club, the big kids table.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
it's like the little kids table, like, just fucking running around and doing a bunch of shit. So I wonder if they like obtain that power and like the majority or whatever, are they gonna be like, okay, like, all right, you guys could calm down, like let us do the work?
I don't know, man.
Because I mean, all they talk about like the Taylor Greens and all them, like they just pretty much like shit on the Dems like 24/7. So if like the Dems aren't in power, like what are they gonna be saying?
I don't know. I don't, and it just seems like this social media driven policies and politics, and like McCarthy is like made of Teflon and McConnell's made of Teflon. There's no Marjorie, Trump can call him, old goat and everything, and he's like, whatever, it doesn't matter. And so you're right. It's like the little kids are running around, and the big kids are just waiting for the meal to come out so they can eat.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's what's gonna happen if they. I mean, I keep saying if, but at this point, I'm pretty sure they're gonna take back, um, probably both. To be honest, definitely the Senate, um, probably the House. Once they take them back, like, will they kind of like take it down a notch?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that all this is for that reason. Like they're just trying to win the houses back. So once they do that, they'll kind of
That's a good thought,
they'll
Lalo. I
simmer
never
down for a bit.
I never
That's what I
thought of
think.
it. It's like raise a ruckus to get back in power, and then tell the people that raised the ruckus to calm down.
Yeah.
So let's do this.
And I
So
mean, maybe even they might know that, like Marjorie Taylor, like they might know that's the goal. So they might
right.
not even have to tell them. They'll just kind of fade into the background for a bit.
Well, there's so
Yeah.
many fucking distractions right now too that are distracting us from what we need to look at, like Sarah Palin and Trump, and just there's all kinds of things going on in the fringe elements. Marjorie Taylor Greene will raise up and say something fucking stupid, and it, and then she gets attacked, and then she'll reattack back, and meanwhile McConnell and McCarthy and they're just chilled. They're just like, yep, we'll get the power back, and then we'll tell these assholes to shut up, and that would be I would be relieved at that point because I'm starting to see, and you're fucking right, dude. I'm starting to see. I watched Tucker Carlson all week, and I know I know he says some crazy shit, but at the base of what he's saying, there is a sort of rationale of we need to break up big tech and we need to stop big government, and the things that he says at the base of what he's saying make complete sense. And I hate to say I agree with Tucker Carlson, but we do need to break up big tech, and we do need to get control of government, and we need to stop doing what we're doing. And although it's like his tinfoil hat, and every now and then he takes off his tinfoil hat and says something rational. And
But see, I think the things he says, like they say them for the wrong, like they have different agendas,
right,
Like the Dems, like, oh, we should break up big tech because like take back control like of our privacy and stuff like that. But their reasoning is because big tech hurts them like politically.
right.
So I think it's the same like goal, but different like reasons behind it.
Right, and that's why I'm saying I don't agree with the reasons why, but at the base of it, yeah, I agree with Tucker Carlson, and I hate to say that, and I agree with a lot of these fucking radicals that are, they say the craziest shit and the most dangerous games they're playing, but they want the same things that I want. And somehow, if we could come and sit down and we both like, let's break up big tech, and let's not talk about why. Let's talk about how. I don't care about your reasons why, because your reasons why are lunacy at a level of that I can't understand. And you're absolutely right. I don't agree with Tucker Carlson's reasons for wanting, and that whole fringe element of why they want to break up big tech, because it's hurting them and it's hurting them politically. I want to break up big tech because it's scary as hell to think about what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Which is what?
Well, the facial recognition and data gathering and all this shit that's you don't want to say, you don't want to go off on the tinfoil hat side, but you start to add all these things up, and you like, okay, I don't have any privacy anymore. No matter what I'm doing, you're watching me. If I traffic lights and street cameras, and they could in some cities right now around the world, they can tell where you are at all fucking times. If they want to target you, they'll find you, and it's easy to do. So on one side, you say, well, they're calling it that's for my safety. And on the other side, I'm like, I don't need to be that fucking safe, man.
Do you think some of that is kind of like I feel like some of that is like trying to stop like the inevitable when it comes to like technological advancements?
Yeah.
Because things like you said, facial recognition or like fingerprint recognition, stuff like that. I feel like that's like natural advancement of technology. I think it's kind of just up to us to determine like how we use it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, those are things that exist now. They've existed, for a bit, and then they're going to continue to like improve. So I think we shouldn't so much try to stop them from happening. We should just make sure they're like in the right hands, or being used only for like the right reasons.
Yeah, but how do
But
we
I
do
think I
that?
think it's that's what I was gonna say. I think it's very hard to do that because there's not really like one entity like, oh, do you trust Facebook? No. Do you trust the US government? No.
No.
So it's like it's a catch 22, like what like I don't think it can be stopped, but at the same time I find it hard to like find, an entity or like a company that is trustworthy enough to kind of use it for the right reasons.
Right. Once you open Pandora's box, and we've done it time and time again, and, like nuclear weapons, and everyone was like, it's too far. That's too much tech. And what are we going to do when it falls into the wrong hands? Well, it has fallen into the wrong hands now. And now we have a real big fucking problem. So uh, I don't know, man. Big
So I mean,
tech scares me. It really does. They have too much information. They have too much power.
but what
And
about that scares you? Like, what do you think will happen at some point if it continues down this path?
well, at any point when one person on the planet, like Zuckerberg, okay, here's the thing that I saw last night. And it's these little things that it's not like this. I'm scared of this. This is my concern. My concern is like this broad feeling of disquieting. It's disquieted. It's like I don't I don't understand why I feel this way, but I do. Like last night, I saw emails that from Zuckerberg to Fauci, and Zuckerberg calling Fauci Tony, and so at that point, that they're chummy, but Zuckerberg was offering the data that he had to Dr. Fauci to use any way he wanted. And I saw the emails, and a large part of them had been redacted. And that fucking worries me because who redacted the information and why did they redact it and what information was taken away from me so that I wouldn't become scared. So when you have a government that these big tech people can email the most powerful people in the government and offer the information and the data that they have collected, and it's a hell of a lot of data, dude, that.
Yeah.
So here's Zuckerberg offering the federal government the data that he's collected from me against my will, and I can't even know what they're actually saying about my fucking data because it's been redacted. So that's very disquieting. That's very scary. That's a scary proposition, man. When you're talking about me, but I can't know what you're saying, and government has taken on this whole different quality now of and I please don't laugh when it's like this shadow government. It's like this thing that's happening that's supposed to be government's supposed to be for me, using my money to help me, but what they're doing is using my money to discuss me behind my back and to do things against my will without me knowing about it, to the point of, yeah, here's the email from Zuckerberg to Fauci, but we're not going to let you read this sentence, or this sentence. That's fucking scary, Lalo.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Um, I was trying to read it, but yeah, I guess for me it's just like kind of like we mentioned earlier, like same goal with different like reasons behind it. I
Yeah.
think like when you have private companies, collecting all this data, um, and then the government collecting all this data, like they have different reasons,
Yeah.
and different intentions. I think when it comes to like companies, for them it's like money, like they're gonna sell your data, they're gonna use it to try to like maximize profits.
Right.
Um, but
But here comes the government in and they say, we want that data. And then now we're not maximizing our profit anymore. We're actually in a position of power.
But I mean, a lot of those companies turn it over like willfully. Because I mean, I know companies like Apple, they don't give any data away to like, at least not anymore, to the government. And I mean, they've tried like, there's been stories about they've had like a suspect in custody of something, and they needed to get into his iPhone to like
Right.
search it and stuff, and it was locked. And they went to Apple to like unlock it, and they said we can't. Like, it's a privacy breach between us and the customer.
Right. Didn't they claim that they couldn't anyway?
Yeah, they said we can anyways. Like, our thing is like airtight, you know?
Right.
So I mean, Apple doesn't have like the greatest like track record when it comes to privacy, but they have improved like a lot. And I'd say it's a lot better than things like Google and Facebook. So I mean, there are like there are people or like companies that aren't as bad, you know?
Right.
But I guess to me, when I hear like what you just said, like, what are you afraid of is my like question that they're going to do with this data. Because I mean, we also have to look at what the data is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it is like, I mean, at least data that people put on the internet. For the most part, it's not like super. Like, I just want to ask, like, what's your fear? Because I mean, when it comes to like personal data, like the government already has that, you know, they have your social security, they know where you live, like that's public information, some of it, you know. So I guess what's your like fear that's gonna happen? Like, what are they actually gonna do with that data?
If they're watching me in my house, there's blackmail. You know what you do,
Blackmail you.
you know, personally.
But you think the government's gonna blackmail you? Like, hey, we saw you. Like,
You know what? I'm not so much worried about the government as I am about bad actors accessing that data. Okay? I mean, because the government, it doesn't have a great track record of protecting data at this point. And who can? Because the more, every time they fix a hole in the dike, another one springs. And Edward Snowden is, he's like a fucking hero to me, that he let it be known they're collecting everything that they can get off of you. And I don't even know what that is anymore, man, because I can't see it, because the data that they have is being redacted and it's about me. And what the fuck is going on, you know? So it just seems scary at one point, and you're right. At another point, it seems like they're going to keep me safe. So it's cognitive dissonance, bro. We're all fucked up right now. Here's what to be afraid of. Isn't that what all the headlines say?
Yeah. Because I feel like there's always like, when it comes to like conversations, it's always like buzzwords, you know? And I feel like that's a big one, like data collection, or they're gathering all our data.
Right.
But like, what data are they gathering, and like, what are they going to do with it? Like, people don't really ask that. They kind of just like give you like worst case scenario, you know? But even then, they don't go into specifics of like, hey, this is what they're planning to do, or this is what I think they're going to do. It's
I don't
just
think
like,
they know.
the government. To them, I mean,
Yeah.
who, like the people talking, or like,
I don't think that the people, I don't think anybody knows. I don't think the people gathering the data know what's going to happen. I don't think the people that are buying it know what's going to happen. But the thing is, dude, if I could know every single thing about you, would you want me to?
but is it every single thing about me, or is it every single thing that I put online about me?
Well, it's not just what you put online. It's, you're being tracked by cameras. It's where you go. It's your conversations. It's your email. It's your text messages. It's your podcasting. It's every single thing. And if they could build some sort of uh, dossier about you, I'm not sure why they would want it, but at the same time, I really don't want them to have it. My relationship with my wife and my relationship with my children, my relationship with you, those are all private matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't see privacy happening anymore. And I know some people are fucking stupid. They're like, I'm shopping at Kohl's, I'm eating at this, and this is what I'm eating, and here's where I'm going. I'm going on vacation, and this is my children, and let's watch them grow up online. And I don't do that. But at the same time, my text messages are private, personal, and my emails are private and personal, but they're not. They could just be collected at will. So say I want to run for government. I want to run for to be a politician. I don't think I would make it at this point. If someone would pull up my emails and my text messages, there's no way I would make it because I would be exposed like a leper. So
See, that's why you get an iPhone, because they can't see your text messages.
that's what you think.
Because they're end to end encrypted on it's when you have a iPhone to iPhone conversation.
Yeah.
You know how it's like the whole like blue bubble versus green bubble thing.
Right.
You're using iMessage, which is like it's an internet based messaging service, not a text based. So like they can't go to AT&T and be like, hey, what'd they say?
This part of Thoroughly Wrong brought to you by AT&T and Google.
So, I mean, I think there's steps for people to kind of, because nowadays it's like impossible to be like off the grid,
Right.
But there's things we can do like on a personal level to try to like minimize like unwanted information about us to be online,
Yeah.
But like you said, there's people at the end of the day, there's people out there that are like, hey, this is what I'm doing every single second of my day. So it's kind of,
and all that is unimportant, really, in the scheme of things. Here's a picture of my cheeseburger. Okay.
But I guess, but this just could be like the optimist in me talking. Like the biggest way I've seen like data being used so far, like information that is collected from us, is through like targeted like advertisement,
Right.
You hear it all the time, like, hey, I was talking about, fucking this TV with my friend, and then like an hour later I got an ad for that same TV.
Right. I was looking at apartment 9 shirts at Kohl's because I'm coming back to work for the county and I need some shirts. I've outgrown them, but all my ads this morning are about apartment 9.
Yeah. So like every day, literally every day, like probably less than 10 minutes after I get off work, I'll get like an email from like Domino's. And I think it's because one time after work, me and my girlfriend like got Domino's for dinner.
Yeah.
And like every day, like on the clock, like, oh, he got Domino's at this time. He's probably getting off work. Let's send it to him every single day at 4:10 p.m. to see if we can persuade him to buy it again,
And that's just an algorithm running it. It's not anybody sitting behind a desk somewhere going, hey, okay, Lalo got fucking Domino's. Let's do this.
Yeah. But it kind of makes you wonder if like, because a lot of times it's like things you talk about, like it's not like you searched for Domino's and then they kind of, oh, based on your search history, here's some things you might like.
Right.
A lot of times it seems that it's like things you talk about like audibly, and they could kind of like pick up on that, like your mic's on or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that does make me wonder, like, what, like, do they have like other like keywords, like buzzwords that are like flagged by their system,
What
like
happens?
You see, like the word bomb or like certain keywords,
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know if you like text that, or like if you like Google search like how to build a bomb, like you might like flag some systems,
Yeah. Yes.
Or like if you look up like on the internet, if you look up like child pornography, like you're getting fucking your door kicked down, you know?
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so
Wait,
um,
what?
but it makes you think like what else are they listening to? But at the same time, it's like if you're doing that shit, wouldn't you want the person to be caught, you know?
Yeah, I
Um,
would.
and
I
I
would.
guess that's like I said, that's the optimist in me speaking. Like I know it's very like naive to say like we'll just don't do anything bad and they're not gonna care, you know? Because there are like people that like take advantage and stuff, but like for me, like if people are searching that stuff up or like interested in those kinds of things, like I would want them like looked into, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Here's here's a question for you. I mean, and it's futuristic and it's tinfoil hattish, but what happens when what would happen if AI would become the thing? You know, and
What do
that
you
they
mean?
already have everything they need. AI already has everything it needs to know about me to do whatever it needs to steer me or stop me or start me or whatever. Am I losing my ability to make decisions for myself? Am I losing the ability to make choices for myself, or am I being constantly steered by algorithms that I can't control? That's a problem.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, uh, I can understand that because I could see like I'm well aware like the impact of like specific like specifically like placed ads and like I mean if ads didn't work companies wouldn't spend so much money on them, you know.
Right.
So there's some like psychological like reasoning and science behind those kinds of things. I don't know. I see myself as someone very like very almost like I can resist some of those things, but I know not everybody can, you know.
Right.
Like like I see Coke ads everywhere and like the Coke logo everywhere. Like I don't even drink soda, you know.
Right. I
So
don't
it's
either.
like it's one of those things where I think it's like I'm sure it's like some like superiority complex or something where I think like, oh, that's not gonna persuade me, you know. But I know it does persuade people, and I mean, I'm sure there's probably
As you
been other
pull into
times.
Domino's parking lot. That's not persuading me. Fuck them. I'm not drinking Coke.
I'm sure there's like there is science behind it, and there is like statistics behind it, and it does work for a lot of people. Um, so I mean, I understand that concern of like, hey, our lives can be dictated through like whatever they tell us we're gonna do and like see and eat and watch like every day.
Well,
Um,
you and I both know, as we say, we've talked about it before, that you got a problem with people not taking care of themselves, like obesity, and it leads to diabetes and high blood pressure, which leads to the healthcare system being overtaxed, which leads to, and it's this huge problem. And you go all the way back to the beginning, it's like, well, human self-control is the problem. So let me take it a little step further here. I got all the data that I need to find out who's not taking care of themselves. I know who smokes. I know who does drugs. I know who eats incorrectly. I know who doesn't exercise. I know all the things that lead to the health problems. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all this data and we're going to say, well, and don't say it's not happening, dude, because it's already happening. I read it. There's a story. I think it's a place in England. Anybody that was born after 2021 cannot buy cigarettes. It's that simple. So now we're going to start making laws that salt is bad for you, therefore salt is illegal. Cigarettes are bad for you, therefore cigarettes are illegal. Alcohol is bad for you, therefore alcohol becomes illegal. And everybody born after such and such a date can no longer buy it. We're going to phase it out completely. So in the future, we have anything that's unhealthy is illegal. How do you feel about that? I can't make choices anymore. I can't choose to smoke. I can't choose to eat red meat. I can't choose to speed. I can't choose to do anything that's going to be detrimental to my health or the health of those around me.
See, I don't think it would get to that. And my reason is there's too much, there's too many companies that would like lobby the fuck out of politicians to make sure that doesn't happen.
You
Like,
think?
yeah, these are like multi-billion dollar like companies, like imagine they try to like ban like McDonald's.
Right.
Like I don't ever see that happening, like ever.
Well, they're
As
banning
long
cigarettes.
as, long as McDonald's is McDonald's. They're banning cigarettes.
They're I'll find the city for you and I'll
Or it's a city, or is it a?
it's like a city. And they're saying if you were born after 2021,
In the
you can't
UK,
buy
you said?
cigarettes. I think it's in the UK. Yeah. Google it. But if you were born after 2021, you cannot buy cigarettes. Now think about that. 2021, no cigarettes. How do you spell cigarettes? I don't smoke, so. It's in Boston. Last year, the Boston suburb passed an age-based cigarette ban that went into effect September 2021. It is now illegal for anyone born after January 1st, 2000 to purchase any type of tobacco or vaping products in the city. That's in Boston. So you and I both know that once these things start, it's not just cigarettes in Boston. It becomes another city will go, okay, Malaysia's banning cigarettes for anyone born after 2005. New Zealand's trying to ban anyone after 2004. It's starting to spread. The cigarette issue's starting to spread. And you know what? I hate a fucking cigarette smoker, and not just, I don't hate the person, but what they do. Smells, they smell, they create a health hazard. I get it. But still, I don't think that you should pass a law saying, nope, no more cigarettes ever. Your children can't smoke. Your grandchildren can't smoke. They can't make that choice anymore. We're the government, and we're taking that voice. We're taking our voice and making it illegal in the future for anyone to buy cigarettes. Now, it doesn't just stop there, dude. And eventually it does lead to alcohol, and then it leads to other unhealthy things. And eventually it comes down to McDonald's. And when the data points to, yeah, but we've eradicated cigarette, we've almost eradicated lung cancer, we've eradicated liver disease because we banned alcohol, guess who's next? McDonald's. And you don't have a fucking choice anymore. And people don't revolt because it's one step towards what they want in the end, which is to control. And dude, that's fucking scary. And the data collection is where it fucking started. Don't you think?
Yeah, to me, it's very hard for me to like see that happening, because I think there's a lot more variables like at play when it comes to like going from like cigarettes to like McDonald's, or like banning like food items,
Right.
To me, there's more money involved. Like these like tobacco companies, they've taken a hit like in the past like 20, 30 years,
Right.
But to me, there's also like cigarettes they're kind of a one trick pony. There's no like real benefit to them, And I know it's kind of hard to say like, oh, there's not really a benefit to like something like McDonald's either, you know.
There
But
isn't.
for
There
some
isn't.
people, there is. I mean, for some people, it's like, hey, I could only like I eat there a lot because it's all I can afford,
Right.
type of thing, you know. And it's it's a very like it's like a multi-sided diet, you know. It's not just hey, McDonald's isn't healthy for you, but like hey, there's no like food place for me. Like there's no grocery store in my neighborhood, so I kind of have to buy like lunch every day, or like I have to survive off, you know, the restaurants around me. And
Right.
like that's a very real thing for a lot of people, you know, especially in like certain cities. There's like food deserts and stuff like that. So I think the jump from like, hey, we're banning cigarettes because you know they cause cancer and all this stuff, to like, hey, we're gonna ban McDonald's and like milkshakes and anything that's bad for you. I think there's too much money in those industries for it to like make any real like possibility of happening, you know?
Yeah. But don't you think it's
Because I mean, it's like trying
a
to like
possibility?
um like a very small chance, like probably like slim to none. Because
What
like think of
about
them trying to ban like soda. Like how big it is like the soda industry? How big is Coca Cola? How big is Pepsi?
aren't there soda bans in some places already
Mm,
in effect?
I know there's like soda
New York City.
like size.
The soda, it's called the soda ban, or also known as the portion cap rule. You can get 16 ounces and that's it.
Yeah, so you're not banning like the drink. They just don't have big ass like cups, you know.
Well, okay, that's been in effect since 2013. That's 8 years. So using your logic, you're saying that the cigarette industry in the past 30 years has started taking a hit. And it started out with little things like a ban here and a ban there. McDonald's is actually losing its dollar menu because they can't afford it anymore. Well, they could fucking afford it. They can't make the profit margin that they want anymore. So that's becoming the $1, $2, $3 menu. And next year will probably be the $2, $3. And then after that, $3. And if inflation keeps rising, it'll just be another thing that people can't fucking afford, dude. I
And you
think,
also have to think that cigarettes are like a double-ended sword. Like they like eating McDonald's kind of just hurts the person eating McDonald's, you know.
yeah,
Cigarettes have more reach than that.
I don't know.
It's like secondhand
Obese
smoke.
people, sickly obese people are hurting our culture.
Right, but it's not like that's I feel like that's indirectly. Like
Okay.
directly you like you're a kid that grows up with like a you know two parent like smoker family.
Right.
That kid's gonna be fucked up when it gets older, you know. He's gonna have asthma. He might get lung cancer at some point. Like
Uh, what about
that's very like
alcohol? Is that
direct.
secondary, or is that a secondary effect? Alcohol?
Um yeah, that's secondary because alcohol hurts like other people around you indirectly, like because of what alcohol, like the influence it has on you, you know,
Right.
like it puts you in this impaired state and then you fucking go and like drive recklessly and kill somebody, or you, you know, like hit your kids or like get in a fight or like hit your wife or whatever. That's a indirect cause of alcohol. Like cigarettes is very like direct, like the smoke you inhale and exhale like hurts the people around you directly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I see what you're saying. But you got to admit it's a grant. It's a possibility, and they're chipping away at us, is what it is. And they're using the data that they have against us, and it just seems like,
Like they're not gonna have a hey, you can only stand in this little area if you want to drink a soda type of thing, you know? Like with smoking. This is a soda only area. Or you can drink soda 100 feet within this school.
I'm sorry, I just got a mental image of that. A bunch of people like 50 feet from the entrance of a school standing in a circle drinking sodas, bitching about it, you know?
So yeah, I mean, to me, it's is it a possibility? Yeah, sure, but like the likelihood of that happening, I say it's like very low, like very very low,
Well,
like
you
probably
know,
less than 1%.
of all the controls that we have now in place, if you'd have gone back to 1950 and said, that's not fucking possible. They're not ever going to make us strap into our car, and they're not ever going to make us wear a fucking helmet, and they're not ever going to make us they're not going to really make us have insurance. That's bullshit, you know? And so things
But see, those
change.
those aren't like super like outlandish things, like having insurance, like if you actually like
Well,
make
it's
sense of
50
that's
years
not,
from now, we're going to say, not smoking. That's not super outlandish. It's really bad for you.
yeah. And I mean, I think as a society, we've kind of done like a good effort in trying to emphasize like that. I feel like smoking's like very on the decline. One with
Oh, yeah,
like the
definitely.
stigma that it has, and then two with like the rising cost of cigarettes. I think it's just taking like,
Yeah.
hits
And
left and right.
that's my point though. 50 years ago, doctors were fucking on TV telling you to smoke. And now there's a stigma against that. So when we have Budweiser commercials now, 50 years from now, people will say, "Yeah, man, they used to have commercials about that. They used to have NASCAR about that. They used to have ads on everything about Budweiser. Now that's illegal." And it should be
No,
illegal because alcohol is a bad thing. So you change the culture. You do little things like, well, we're not going to let you buy cigarettes after 2001. So now, or 2000. So now you've got a whole generation growing up that they simply can't buy cigarettes. And now the culture changes. The stigma is on the cigarettes even harder. So what? And my question is here, okay, we've done it with cigarettes. What the fuck is next? And that's how I'm building the case of not only is it possible, it feels probable to me that they will take things that are harmful and say harmful means illegal. Let's start phasing it out.
I think there also has to be like things in place to kind of like for that to happen. There has to be some sort of like replacement, like hey, we're gonna outlaw fast food. Like we need to have like a healthier, like cheap option.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, and I mean, to me, again, I keep going back to like the whole like indirect versus direct harm. That's why I think cigarettes is very like unique in that way.
Right.
I don't see like drinking soda or like eating unhealthy in the same way as smoking a cigarette. Like, yeah, do they cause like kind of the same end result, like you being an unhealthy person? Yeah, obviously, but the way that they hurt people, and then not just yourself, but like the people around you, I think it's very, very different. And I think it's something that we caught on to, eventually with cigarettes, but we're kind of seeing like the effects of that, like all those studies and, hey, cigarettes do cause lung cancer and like all these things. They could give your kids asthma, blah, blah. And then there's also things to kind of replace that. There's like chewing tobacco, there's the patch, there's all these things trying to like replace that, not high, but like the need for your body, because some
Right.
people are addicted. So I think for it to get to the point of like, hey, we're banning, all these other food items, you would have to like find a way to replace their spot in like society for it to happen.
I agree. I agree respectfully, but I disagree because I just see, as I've aged out over since 1965, I have watched things more and more, what people call freedoms being taken away. And
But are they freedoms, or are they just things people call freedoms?
well, I'm going to have to say,
Because I mean, do
when
people like
when I was a kid,
like
I
in the
rode a
Middle East?
bike. I rode a motorcycle without a helmet, and it was just something that we did. And I remember standing on my head in the back, of the car, and my parents had a station wagon. You could bounce over the seats and you could do whatever you want. Now kids are just locked in there, and although that's not, you may not call that a freedom, I kind of do because I did it. And now you can't. You could get pulled over and get fucking fined for not having a seatbelt on. That if you'd have told me that in 1970, people would have been in 2000. You're gonna get pulled over and fined for not having a seatbelt on. And if we catch you out without a helmet on your motorcycle, you can get arrested, and you won't be able to ride until you find a helmet. That I would have told you you're fucking crazy.
Okay,
But
but
here we are.
are we worse off for it?
Okay, now we go back to illegal means unhealthy. There it is. It's unhealthy to ride without a helmet. I get that. It's dangerous. I get that a lot. Gary Busey, I get it. But shouldn't people be able to smoke if they want to? Yes. Can they now? No, it's being taken away. Should I be able to ride with my fucking body unbelted in a car? Yes, I should be able to, but no, I can't because you're going to fine me. So that's going back to my original point. Dangerous and unhealthy, illegal. So here we go. It's take away the small things, take away the small things. Here's the first big thing. And after that, what's after cigarettes? That's what I'm trying to get at here. What's after cigarettes?
I don't know. I mean, I think, have you seen any like inclination towards like what's after cigarettes? Like, has there
No.
been any like steps that have been taken that you could point to that could be like, oh, look, they're going after this now?
Well, alcohol, the age has been, the age you can start drinking has been raised. The fines for drunk driving have been raised. Now it's just.
But does that steer away? Does that steer people away from drinking or from driving while drunk?
Well, drunk driving is down.
I don't think those implementations are to steer away people from drinking.
Yeah.
It's to steer them away from driving while under the influence,
But isn't that where the first you can't smoke inside wasn't to steer you away from cigarettes, right? It was to steer you to smoke over there. And now 30 years later, we're steering you away from cigarettes. So it's
And
the
I mean, we've
little
tried the
things
whole like alcohol ban thing. I don't think it worked out pretty well.
I don't think it would work either. Over a period of maybe 50, 60 years, it would. Right?
Like a slow.
Like take it away slowly. Take everything away slowly. Fucking, it's been, when did they start?
But like,
I think
what?
that in
Like,
1968 or
who do you think is,
69.
like, behind it? Like, who? Like, is this a government thing?
I have no idea. I don't know who did the cigarettes. I don't know how it happened. And that's the thing. We're not paying attention. We don't know how these things happen. Somebody decided that cigarettes were bad, so we're going to put a warning label on them in 1968, 65, 68, right around in there, mid 60s. So 50, 60 years later, that went from we're going to put a warning label on to everyone after 2000 can't buy cigarettes. That's 60 years, 50, 60 years, Lalo.
I mean, I guess we would have to see, because I mean, people know like that things like fast food are unhealthy. Like we know what's healthy and what's unhealthy,
right,
at this point. So I mean, I guess time will tell like how long. Like if you could put like a pin on like when we started kind of acknowledging it as unhealthy,
yeah,
and then put a pin there, and then where would we be like 50, like you said, 50, 60 years from then? Like what's changed since then, in
right.
that time frame, to kind of compare it to like the whole cigarettes thing,
Oh no. Well, I'm not going to be alive, so whatever. My kids are going to be my children's children will be the one. They'll be all healthy, and they'll be like, cigarettes, what the fuck is that?
Maybe by then they'll have like your consciousness on a flash drive or something.
That's what's his name wants to do. He wants to do the brain implant on people now. Great. I'm kind of
if that was like a thing, like technically living forever,
yeah,
or having your consciousness like somehow made, like,
oh wow,
like put in a computer, like the cloud or whatever, like I would 100% do that.
Can they transfer me back over to an organic body? Because that would be fucking awesome.
Maybe not at first, because I feel like that's like a whole different like endeavor, but
yeah,
I think transferring like out of your body into like a computer or something.
okay,
That's doable first, and then transferring back, that's probably down the line. But I would still do it because I would want to see how like we progress and stuff.
You couldn't get McDonald's if you were a computer.
I mean, I wouldn't need McDonald's.
Aha, that's it, man. They're going to take it all away from us by digitizing all of us.
I'm sure there'll be a McDonald's in the metaverse I could visit.
Right on. And I've got Dogecoin to buy or to spend, dude.
They have that. They're starting to, I think they were just going to start testing that, where they'll have like restaurants in the metaverse, and you order food and they just like deliver it to your real house.
That's bizarre.
Basically, it's an online order, just more, I don't know, interactive, I guess.
So, everyone says that like Shiba and THT and all these coins aren't worth anything because, it's impossible for everyone to inflate to a millionaire. Would it be impossible for everyone to inflate to a millionaire in the metaverse? And my 21 million.
I don't think so. It's the same amount of people.
Yeah.
You're not creating more humans.
I'm going to be rich one way or another, Lalo. And I'm going to buy all your data and use it against you and say, ha, I was right.
He does go to Domino's after work.
All right, man, I'm going to the beach.
Sounds good.
Yeah, let's tell the entire world I'm going to the beach. Turn on the Venice cameras.
You might get there by 3 p.m. at this rate.
Oh, I'll make it. It should.
Traffic.
I know, but I'm going to try anyway. All right.
Let me know how it goes, or how
I will, dude. I will. I'll post it online, and then everyone will know where I am. And then, I'm going to eat a flame broiler. I'm going to have some brown rice, vegetables, and tofu. So there you go. That's my life today.
It's not bad.
And I'm going to listen to probably some smooth jazz on the way down. No, I'm going to listen to myself play guitar. There you go. Have a good day, man.
You too, man.
Remember, everything we said here could be completely taken wrong, could be out of context. We could be thoroughly fucking wrong. And still, we don't give a shit because we're just talking. Have a good week, man. See you later.
Later.
You have now experienced the Thoroughly Wrong Project with your podcast hosts, Lalo and Bob. We can now be found on Pandora Radio, Apple Podcasts, Podium Podcast, or by searching The Thoroughly Wrong Project to locate our YouTube channel. You can contact us directly by email at thoroughly.wrong@gmail.com or just leave a comment on any of our platforms. Until next time, thanks for spending your valuable time with us, and remember, always speak up and never be afraid to be thoroughly